The rain hammered the tin roof of the old Brooklyn warehouse like 1,000 accusations, each drop echoing the fracture in my chest as I watched Kyle shatter everything we'd built. "Charles, I didn't mean for it to go this far," he whispered, his voice cracking like the thunder outside. But his eyes, those damn hazel eyes that had once promised forever, now darted away, guilty shadows hiding the lie. In that instant, the knife he'd plunged into my heart twisted deeper, not from the betrayal itself, but from the secret I'd guarded for years, the one that bound us tighter than any vow we'd ever spoken. I first met Kyle on a sweltering July afternoon in 2018, the kind of New York summer day where the asphalt shimmered like a mirage and the air hung heavy with the scent of hot pretzels and exhaust. I was 28, a junior editor at a midtown publishing house, buried under manuscripts that dreamed bigger than my own life ever had. My days blurred into nights of red wine and regret, scrolling through Grindr profiles that never quite filled the void left by a string of bad breakups, guys who bolted at the first sign of something real. I wasn't looking for love that day. Hell, I was just trying to survive the commute home from a pitch meeting gone south. The subway rattled into the station at Atlantic Avenue, doors hissing open to spit out a crush of bodies. I shoved my way onto the F train, sweat beading on my forehead, my button-down clinging like a second skin. That's when I saw him, Kyle, leaning against the pole with a faded Yankees cap pulled low, sketching furiously in a battered notebook. He couldn't have been more than 22, all lean muscle and effortless cool, his faded jeans hugging hips that drew my gaze before I could stop it. A lock of chestnut hair escaped his cap, curling against his neck, and his lips moved silently as if arguing with the page. I don't know why I stared. Maybe it was the way his pencil danced, fierce and unapologetic, or the faint scar snaking up his forearm, a whisper of some untold story. But when his eyes flicked up, locking onto mine with that crooked half-smile, the world narrowed to the space between us. "Sorry," he said, not moving an inch as the train lurched forward. "Am I in your light?" I laughed, a rusty sound I hadn't heard from myself in months. "Nah, just admiring the art." "What's that, a dragon or a demon?" He tilted the notebook toward me, unself-conscious. It was neither. A cityscape of Brooklyn Bridge twisted into the shape of a heart, veins of steel pulsing with traffic lights. Both, depending on the day. "Name's Kyle." "You, Charles. And if that's your demon, I'd hate to see your angel." The banter flowed easy from there, cutting through the subway's drone like a lifeline. By the time we stumbled off at my stop, his too, by some cosmic joke, we were swapping numbers, promising coffee that felt less like a date and more like fate's sly wink. That night, as I lay in my cramped Bushwick apartment, the fan whirring lazily overhead, I replayed his laugh in my head. It was the first time in years I'd felt seen, not just scanned. Our first real date was at a hole-in-the-wall diner in Williamsburg, the kind with checkered floors sticky from decades of spills and a jukebox crooning Springsteen. Kyle showed up in a threadbare flannel that smelled like fresh laundry and faint cigarette smoke, his eyes bright with that boyish hunger for the world. We split a plate of greasy fries, trading stories over milkshakes thick as regret. He was from a small town in upstate New York, the son of a steelworker dad and a nurse mom who'd prayed away his phase when he came out at 16. "They love me," he said, dipping a fry in ketchup. "But it's like I'm this puzzle piece they can't quite fit." Dad still calls it that college experimentation shit. I nodded, my own coming out a quieter storm. Parents in Connecticut who'd accepted it with the same resigned grace they gave my decision to major in English instead of law. Family's a battlefield sometimes. But you fight back with art. That's power. He blushed, that flush creeping up his neck like dawn on the East River. Flattery from a book guy? Dangerous. By dessert. His knee brushed mine under the table, lingering just long enough to spark. When we kissed outside, under the neon buzz of a bodega sign, it was fireworks, soft at first, then urgent, his hands fisting my shirt as if afraid I'd vanish. That summer blurred into a montage of stolen moments. Lazy afternoons in Prospect Park. His head in my lap as I read aloud from Kerouac. Midnight runs to the pier where we'd watch ferries slice the harbor, whispering dreams against the salt wind. Kyle was a freelance illustrator, scraping by on gig posters and album covers, but his talent burned bright. He'd sketch me mid-laugh, capturing the crinkles at my eyes I hated, turning them into something sacred. "You're my muse, Charlie," he'd murmur, breath warm against my skin. And God, I believed him. But secrets have a way of seeping in like fog off the Hudson. It started small. Kyle's phone buzzing late at night, screen lighting his face with texts he swiped away too quick. "Just work," he'd say, rolling over to pull me close. I let it slide, chalking it up to the grind. Then came the bruises, faint ones on his ribs, explained away as a bike wipeout on the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway. His laugh deflected, but his eyes held storms I couldn't chart. One October evening, after a gallery opening where his pieces hung raw and revered, we crashed at my place, bodies tangled in sheets that smelled of us. As he traced lazy circles on my chest, he froze, voice dropping to a whisper. "Charlie, there's something I need to tell you. But promise you won't hate me." My heart stuttered. "Never." He sat up, the moonlight carving shadows across his face. "Back in high school, I got mixed up with this guy, older, connected. He helped me get out of town when things got bad at home. But he wants something now. Favors. Stuff that could drag me under." The air thickened. "Like what?" "Nothing big. Just deliveries." "Harmless." I pulled him back down, ignoring the chill in my gut. "You're out now. We handle it together." That was the first secret I kept. Not his exactly, but the fear that coiled in me like barbed wire. I didn't push, didn't pry. Love, I told myself, was trust. But as winter bit into the city, frosting fire escapes and turning breaths to ghosts, Kyle's shadows grew longer. He'd vanish for hours, returning with hollow eyes and excuses that frayed at the edges. I buried myself in work, editing romances that mocked my own unraveling fairy tale. By Christmas, we'd said the L word over mulled wine at a tree lighting in Bryant Park, his gloved hand in mine as snow dusted our shoulders. "I love you, Charles," he'd said, voice fierce against the carols. "More than the mess I am," and I believed it, even as the phone buzzed again, a name flashing, Ricky, that he'd silence with a kiss. Spring thawed the ice, but not the tension. Kyle's gigs picked up. He landed a contract illustrating a graphic novel about queer outlaws in the Old West, his pride swelling like the cherry blossoms in the Botanic Garden. We'd celebrate with rooftop picnics, cheap beer and his laughter chasing away the doubts. But one night in May, as we walked hand in hand through the village, past rainbow flags fluttering like defiant prayers, he stopped under a street lamp, face pale. Charlie, Ricky's escalating. He knows about us. Says if I don't, he'll tell my folks everything. The real shit. My blood ran cold. What real shit? He looked away, jaw tight. The deliveries aren't harmless. Product. Pills. Mostly. I never touched it, just moved it. But now he wants more. Betrayal's first sting hit then, not from Kyle, but from the world that cornered him into this. We go to the cops. End it. No! Panic flashed in his eyes. They'd bury me. Small-town kid with priors? I'd rot. I cupped his face, thumbs brushing tears. Then we run. Start over. Anywhere. He leaned into me, breaking. I can't ask that of you, but he did. In whispers and touches that night, our bodies a desperate anchor. I kept his secret, weaving it into ours like a dark thread in a tapestry. For months, we danced on the edge, me fielding his absences with smiles, him sketching feverishly to outrun the ghosts. Love deepened in the cracks, lazy Sundays trading recipes for his mom's apple pie, stolen glances at poetry slams where he'd dedicate verses to the man who sees my scars. Yet the noose tightened. Ricky's calls turned venomous, voicemails laced with threats that Kyle played for me in the dead of night, his body shaking against mine. He's got photos, Kyle confessed one dawn, as sirens wailed distant. From back then. Me, high as fuck, doing things I'd erase if I could. I held him tighter, my own secrets piling up, the lies to friends about his late nights at the studio, the sleep lost to worry. Our bond's stronger than this, I vowed. It'll survive. Summer returned, humid and unforgiving, mirroring the sweat on our brows as we plotted escape. A job offer came for me in Seattle, remote editing, flexible. Pacific Northwest, I said, pinning maps to the fridge. Rain like Brooklyn, but cleaner starts. Kyle's eyes lit, hope flickering. Yeah. Us against the world. But betrayal doesn't announce itself. It slithers in on whispers. I found the first clue in June. A crumpled receipt in his jacket pocket for a motel in Jersey. Dated the night he'd crashed at a buddy's. My stomach twisted, but I shoved it down. Trust, I repeated like a mantra. The second came in July, during a heat wave that turned our apartment into a sauna. Kyle was out running errands, so I tidied, his sketches scattered like confetti. Under the couch, a burner phone, screen cracked, messages glowing. Missed you last night, babe. When's Charlie out of town again? The world tilted. Ricky, or someone else? Pocketed it, heart pounding, and waited. When he returned, flushed and evasive, I confronted him in the kitchen. The phone slapped on the counter like a gauntlet. Who the fuck is this? His face drained of color. Charlie. It's not. Save it. Motel in Jersey? Babe? Tears welled, but defiance sparked. It's Ricky. He forced me. Said if I didn't meet him, he'd expose everything. Expose? Or fuck you over a desk. The words clawed out, ugly and raw. He recoiled. It's survival. You think I want this? You're the safe one. The one I come home to. The slap of truth stung worse than any hand. Betrayal. Layered and vicious. Not just the secret, but the lie we'd both nurtured. I stormed out, pounding pavement until my lungs burned, the city a blur of neon accusations. We patched it, or pretended to, nights of makeup sex that tasted like ash, days of forced normalcy. But the fracture widened. Kyle threw himself into work, his illustrations darkening, lovers torn by barbed wire, hearts stitched with thorns. I edited manuscripts on fractured families, seeing us in every page. By August, the graphic novel launched to acclaim, Kyle's name buzzing in queer-lit circles. At the signing in a cozy East Village bookstore, he dedicated it to me on stage, to Charles, who kept my shadows at bay. The crowd awed. I smiled through the lump in my throat. But shadows creep. That night, post-party haze in a dive bar, I stepped out for air and saw them. Kyle in the alley, pressed against the brick by a broad-shouldered guy. Ricky, I assumed, lips locked in a kiss that wasn't survival. It was hunger. I didn't confront. I fled, rain starting to fall, washing the betrayal clean, or so I thought. The days after the alley blurred into a fever dream of avoidance and ache. I crashed on a friend's couch in Greenpoint, telling Kyle I needed space to think, my voice steady as rebar while inside I crumbled. He texted apologies laced with please. Please, Charlie, it was nothing. Ricky's poison. Come home. I read them in the dim glow of my phone, thumb hovering over delete, but always replying with curt processing. Truth was, I was drowning, replaying the kiss like a looped film reel, the way Kyle's hands clutched Ricky's shirt, mirroring how they'd once gripped mine. Work became my lifeline, manuscripts piling up like sandbags against the flood. My boss, a sharp-witted lesbian named Elena, who'd mentored me through my first queer panic at 22, noticed the hollows under my eyes. Spill, kid, she said over coffee in the office kitchen, her silver rings clinking against the mug. That pretty illustrator boy finally show his colors? I laughed bitterly, stirring sugar I didn't need. More like hid them. Secrets on secrets. Elena. How do you trust when the ground's quicksand? She leaned in, ice kind but unflinching. You don't. You build a bridge anyway. But if he's burning it, she trailed off, squeezing my arm. Her own story echoed mine. A wife who'd cheated with an ex, forgiven once, lost forever the second time. Humanistic endings aren't always happy, Charles. Sometimes they're just honest. Her words haunted me as I wandered the city, seeking solace in its veins. I hit the baths in Chelsea, steam-shrouded rooms where bodies moved anonymous. But even there, Kyle's ghost lingered, no touch sparked without his echo. Instead, I turned to runs along the East River, pounding the path until my legs screamed, the skyline mocking with its unyielding gleam. A week in, Kyle showed up at the friend's door, soaked from a downpour, eyes red-rimmed. Charlie, please. Let me explain. The friend, Javier, a theater director with a flair for drama, eyed him, then me. Your call, amor. He slipped out, leaving us in the cramped living room, vinyl records stacked like accusations. Kyle paced, words tumbling. Ricky's got me trapped. That kiss? It was a payoff, a twisted thank you for a drop-off. I hate him, Charlie. Hate what he makes me do. But you're the light. I crossed my arms, walling off the pull. Light doesn't flicker in alleys. And the phone? The motel? That's not trap. That's choice. He sank to the couch, head in hands. The motel was before last year, when I thought I could handle it alone. I ended it when we met. Swear. Ricky's just leverage now. Leverage. The word soured. And what am I? Collateral? No! He lunged, grabbing my hands, his calluses rough from pencils and pain. You're everything. I kept the secret to protect us, to not drag you into the mud. But it's eating me alive. Tears tracked his cheeks, and damn if it didn't crack me. I pulled him up, our foreheads touching, breaths mingling. Then let me in. All the way. No more shadows. He nodded, fierce. All in. We reconciled in fragments. Slow dinners at our spot. The diner where fries now tasted like tentative peace. Walks in McCarran Park. His sketches lightning to sun-dappled lovers entwined. Sex reignited. Tender at first, exploring scars like maps to forgiveness, then wild, reclaiming bodies as territory. I love you, he'd gasp against my neck, and I'd believe it anew, the bond a phoenix from ashes. But Ricky loomed, a specter at every buzz. Kyle blocked the burner, changed his number, but threats morphed, anonymous emails to my work. Grainy photos of Kyle's activities hinted at exposure. Paranoia seeped in. I jumped at shadows, double-checking locks. We leave soon, I'd remind him. Seattle's promise a beacon. My job started remote in September. We'd pack light, vanish west. August waned in a heat haze, the city pulsing with back-to-school energy and fading beach days. Kyle's graphic novel tour kicked off. A string of signings from Boston to Philly. Him glowing under spotlights. Me tagging along when I could. In D.C., after a panel on queer narratives, we ducked into a Georgetown bar, jazz humming low. Tipsy on bourbon, he pulled me onto the dance floor, bodies swaying to Coltrane. You're my plot twist, he murmured, lips brushing my ear. The hero who stays, I chuckled, heart full. And you're the cliffhanger I can't quit. That night, in a hotel overlooking the Potomac, we made plans. A cabin in the Cascades, hikes through evergreens, his art studio overlooking Puget Sound. Dreams wove tight, betrayal scar fading to a faint line. Back in Brooklyn, reality intruded. A letter arrived, no stamp, shoved under the door. Ricky's scrawl. Tick-tock, pretty boy. One last job, or Charlie gets the full album. Enclosed, a USB drive. Files time-stamped from Kyle's dark days. Videos blurry but damning. Him entangled with shadows. Moans that twisted my gut. Kyle shattered it against the wall. Shards glinting like tears. Fuck him. We're done. But fear clung. I called a PI friend from college. A no-nonsense dyke named Marla who'd traded Wall Street for skip tracing. Dig on this, Ricky? I emailed details. Anonymized. Her reply came swift. Low-level dealer. Ties to Albany crew. Slippery, but vulnerable. Cops circling, narcotics bust imminent. Hope flickered. We waited out, I told Kyle. Let the law clip his wings. He nodded, but tension coiled. Gigs dried up. Paranoia kept him home, sketching obsessively. Our love deepened in isolation, cooking pasta from scratch, binging old rom-coms where misunderstandings resolved neat. We're better than fiction, I'd say, kissing his temple. September dawned crisp, leaves turning gold along the BQE. Packing commenced, boxes labeled kitchen, art supplies, dreams folded in. My last day at the office, Elena hugged me fierce. Seattle suits you. And if he falters, you fly solo. I smiled, but doubt nipped. That weekend, a farewell party at Javier's, queer Brooklyn in full. Drag queens belting gaga, craft beers flowing, bodies grinding to house beats. Calzone, charming the room with tales of his tour, hand possessive on my waist. To new chapters, he toasted, eyes locked on mine. Cheers rose, but as the night peaked, he slipped out for a smoke. I followed minutes later, finding him on the fire escape, phone to ear, voice low urgent. Yeah, I got it. Just not here. He hung, spotting me, face paling. Client. Last-minute gig. The lie hung heavy. At midnight, on our night, Charlie. I grabbed his arm, pulling him inside, away from prying eyes. In the bathroom, door locked, I faced him. Ricky, silence damning. Then, one meet. To buy time. He's bluffing on the bust. Rage boiled. Time for what? Another alley tango? No, God. No. He backed against the sink. Desperate. It's a setup for him. Marla tipped. I lure him. Cops swoop. My pulse thundered. You didn't tell me? We're partners. Kyle, not pawns. I didn't want you worried. Safer this way. Safer? Or solo? The betrayal resurfaced. Fresh wound. You kept this secret too. He reached, but I jerked away. Charlie, please. It's the end game. I stormed out, party noise mocking, collapsing on Javier's couch with a beer. Cal joined later, apologetic, but the rift yawned. We left early, cab ride silent, Brooklyn lights streaking like accusations. The meet was set for a Tuesday, abandoned lot in Red Hook. I insisted on going back up. Look out. Kyle relented, eyes grateful. Dawn broke foggy as we drove, my old Civic rattling over potholes. Love you, he said, squeezing my thigh. Whatever happens. Always, I lied. Fear gnawing. We parked blocks away, approaching on foot, salt air sharp. Ricky waited, leather jacket slung over a chain-link fence, smirk oily. Brought a date. Huh? Kinky. Kyle stepped forward, wired under his hoodie Marla's handiwork. Last drop. Then we're square. Ricky laughed, tossing a duffel. Square? After you ghosted? Nah, kid. You're mine. The exchange blurred. Bag for envelope. Words laced venom. Then, sirens wailed. Cops swarming from shadows. Badges flashing. Ricky bolted. Cal tackled gentle. Cuffs symbolic. In the chaos, a shot cracked. Ricky's desperation. Wild. It grazed Kyle's shoulder. Blood blooming dark. I lunged, catching him as he fell. World narrowing to his gasp. Charlie. Ambulance lights painted us red. Medics swarming. Stay with me, I begged. Hand clamped over the wound. He smiled weakly. Bonds unbreakable. Hospital wait was hell. Sterile halls, coffee bitter as regret. Marla arrived. Briefing, Ricky's pinched. Full confession incoming, your boy's clear. Relief crashed, but fear lingered. When they wheeled him out, stitched, pale but whole, I collapsed at his bedside, tears hot. Never again. No secrets. He nodded, fingers lacing mine. Promise. October packed us west. U-Haul groaning under canvases and books. Brooklyn faded in the rearview, skyline shrinking to memory. Seattle welcomed with drizzle and evergreens, our apartment overlooking the sound, cozy, light-flooded. Cal healed slow, scars mapping his arm anew. His art bloomed, series on redemption, lovers bridging chasms. Gigs trickled local galleries, online buzz. I thrived remote, Elena's referrals steady. Winter settled gentle, holidays by a crackling fire. Turkey from a food truck, toasts to survival. To us, Cal said, clinking mugs. Survivors, but spring unearthed the next fracture. Package arrived, no sender, USB inside, labeled truth. Heart pounding, I plugged it in alone, Kyle out sketching. Files loaded, not Ricky's old poison, but fresh motel cams from Jersey, timestamps post-reconciliation. Kyle with another, lithe, tattooed, moans sinking to the rhythm I'd thought ours alone. Betrayal's blade plunged true this time, twisting with the note, heard you kept my first secret. Here's the sequel. A friend. The door clicked, Kyle home early, face falling at my expression. Charlie? What's? I tossed the drive. Your sequel, he crumpled. No denial. It was once. After the meet, when you pulled away at the party. I spiraled. Thought we were done. Spiraled into fucking a stranger? Venom spat. Tears streamed. I was scared. Ricky's mess. The shot, it broke me. He was easy. No strings. No strings? We had strings, vows. Kyle. He reached. I recoiled. I ended it. Came back to you. The room spun. How many secrets before trust dies? We shattered that night. Yells echoing off cedar walls. Plates flung. Hearts bared raw. Dawn found us exhausted. On the floor. His head in my lap. I love you, he whispered. But maybe. Love isn't enough. The words hung. A guillotine. Summer in Seattle was a revelation. Ferry rides to Bainbridge. Salt wind whipping our hair as Orcus breached distant. Farmers' markets bursting with berries and buskers strumming folk tunes that tugged at our frayed edges. On the surface, we mended therapy sessions with a soft-spoken counselor named Theo, who specialized in queer trauma, unpacking Kyle's small-town shame and my fear of abandonment. Bonds aren't ironclad, Theo said one rainy afternoon, his office overlooking the Olympics, fog cloaking peaks like unresolved grief. They're elastic. Stretch, snap, reform. Kyle nodded, sketching idly, a rubber band heart, looped infinite. I squeezed his knee, the gesture a truce. Nights, we'd cook fusion. His upstate meatloaf twisted with salmon, my Connecticut clam chowder spiced Thai. Laughter crept back, tentative, blooming in shared silences where words failed. But the USB's ghost lingered, a specter in every sidelong glance. Who sent it? Marla traced digital fingerprints to a burner IP, Ricky's old crew, Spite's parting gift. They're rotting in Rikers, she emailed. Let it go, Charles. Or it'll eat you. Letting go was alchemy. Kyle dove into a new project, a memoir graphic novel, Shadows and Salvage, chronicling his spiral without naming names. Pages poured out, panels of Brooklyn alleys morphing to Seattle shores, lovers as silhouettes embracing through storms. This is us, he'd say, showing drafts, his vulnerability a bridge. I contributed, editing prose interludes, my voice weaving his visuals. Publisher sniffed. A small indie press in Portland bit. Advance modest but mighty. Launch loomed in fall. A queer lit fest in San Francisco, our first road trip south. August heat baked the city. Puget Sound a mirror to blue skies. We escaped to the San Juans, renting a cabin on Orcas Island. Weathered wood, porch swing creaking to loons' calls. Days blurred hiking mossy trails. Nights in a clawfoot tub, bubbles popping like doubts. One evening, as sunset bled pink across the water, Kyle knelt by the shore, skipping stones. Charlie. Marry me? The pebbles sank, ripples widening. He held a ring simple silver, etched with a heart bridge. Not proposal pomp, but raw hymn, scarred arm extended, eyes pleading. My throat tightened. After everything? Especially after. We've survived betrayals that'd break lesser men. Let's make it official, vows to outlast the shit. Tears pricked. I pulled him up, kissing salt from his lips. Yes. God. Yes. Engagement buzzed us alive. Texts to families, his folks tentative. Video calling with stiff congratulations. Mine beaming from Connecticut. Mom already Pinteresting cakes. Friends threw a low-key party at our place, Javier flying in. Elena zooming toasts. To elastic hearts, he quipped, raising IPAs. But joy's underbelly stirred. Kyle's sketches darkened mid-project. A new character, the ghost, a shadowy lover mirroring the USB's stranger. Catharsis, he explained when I asked. Exorcising. I nodded, but unease gnawed. Therapy unearthed my own betrayals. Not just Kyle's, but mine, the white lies to protect, the silences that enabled. I kept your secrets, I confessed to Theo, but hid my hurts. That's complicity. Theo leaned forward. Growth is owning the mirror. Both sides. September's launch approached. San Francisco a siren call. We drove down Highway 101. Windows down. Indie rock blasting. Arcade Fire's anthems fueling dreams. The fest was electric. Castro streets rainbow-drenched. Panels packed with voices like ours. Kyle read excerpts. Voice steady. Crowd rapt. Post-signing. Champagne flowed at a duplex party. Authors mingling. Flirtations sparking like fireflies. I wandered to the balcony for air. City lights twinkling below. A hand brushed my back. Familiar, uninvited. Kyle. Tipsy. Eyes glassy. Dance with me. We swayed to faint bass. Bodies sinking easy. But his gaze drifted, landing on a cluster inside. A lithe guy, tattoos snaking arms, laughing with Kyle's editor. The ghost incarnate. Jealousy flared, irrational. Old flame, Kyle blinked, pulling focus. What? Not just networking. The lie subtle, but there. Later, in our Mission District hotel, buzz fading to ache, depressed. The ghost. He's here. Isn't he? Silence stretched. Then, one drink. At the bar. Closure. Closure? Or sequel 2? He sighed, sitting heavy on the bed. Charlie. It's nothing. But, yeah, I see him sometimes. In my head. The guilt. Guilt. Not desire. Relief mixed with rage. Talk to me. Not ghosts. I am. He cupped my face. Ring glinting. You're real. We made love fierce that night, reclaiming, raw his moans mine alone. Morning brought apologies over room service eggs. No more hiding. Promise. The drive home was healing. Stops at redwoods. Hands intertwined. Fall deepened. Wedding plans solidifying, small. Beachside in Olympic National Park. Spring 20. Kyle's book hit shelves. Reviews praising its unflinching humanity. Sales ticked up. He quit fretting over bills. But winter whispered warnings. A call from upstate. Kyle's dad. Voice gruff over crackle. Heard about the wedding. Ma's praying. You good for him. City boy. Pride swelled. Better together. Holidays split. Thanksgiving with my folks. Turkey and queer jokes easing old tensions. Christmas upstate. Snow blanketing the farm. Kyle's mom hugging tight despite Bible on the mantle. We love him whole, she whispered. New Year dawned optimistic. Fireworks over the sound. Resolutions. More dates. Less doubt. Therapy tapered. Theo's nod approval. You're building, not just surviving, yet cracks spiderwebbed. Kyle's nights grew restless. Sketches frantic. One February Eve, I found him at the kitchen table. Dawn glow pale. A new drawing, 2 figures, one turning away, labeled the betrayer. Me? I asked, voice small. He startled. No, me. The me that hurts you. We talked till noon. Coffee cold. His fear of failing the ring's weight. Imposter syndrome from small-town roots. I betray myself first, he admitted. Then it spills. Empathy bridged. We both do. But forgiveness is the glue. Spring wedding neared. Cherry blossoms framing invites. Bachelor party. Low-key hike. Beers by a creek. Javier toasting. To grooms who glue. The rehearsal was magic. Beach sunset. Waves lapping vows practiced. But the eve. Kyle vanished post-dinner. Quick walk, he texted. Hours ticked. Panic rose. I paced the cabin. Calling futile. Marla on speed dial. Track him. Midnight he stumbled in. Eyes wild. Clothes rumpled. Charlie. Whiskey on breath. Where? A bar. In town. Needed. Air. The lie reeked. I grabbed his phone. Unlocked. Messages aglow, missed our chats. Come alone? Gee, the ghost. Again. You promised. Sobs racked. Our wedding tomorrow. He collapsed. Weeping. It was talk. Nothing happened. But I went. To end it. End it? By risking us. Guilt choked him. I don't deserve you. The night fractured. Me on the porch. Stars indifferent. Him inside. Shadows his companion. Dawn crept. Guests arriving, family. Friends. Oblivious. Ceremony hour. I stood at the altar. Waves crashing like doubts. Ring heavy in pocket. Kyle emerged. Haggard but resolute. Arm linked with his mom's. Vows exchanged, trembling. True. I kept your secrets, Kyle. Through storms. I vow to keep your heart. Through all. His. You've survived my betrayals, Charles. I vow to be worthy. Rings slid on. Kiss ceiling, salt tanged. Fierce. Cheers erupted. But inside, the bond stretched thin. Elastic fraying. Honeymoon in Hawaii, Maui's beaches. Luau's under palms. We dove reefs. Bodies buoyant. making love to ukulele strains. New start, he whispered, sand in our hair. Back home, Bliss hummed, shared studio, his book tour east, me tagging. But the ghost specter stalked, anonymous email, congrats. But ghosts don't die. Video attached. I deleted, unopened. No more, I told Kyle. We burn it all. Bonfire on the beach, USBs, sketches, relics torched. Flames danced, smoke curling promises. Summer 20 peaked, pandemic looming distant. Kyle's sequel book pitched, bridges burned, exploring fidelity's fire. Offers poured. But September storm broke. Upstate visit, his dad pulling me aside. Saw him last month. With some guy at the diner. Town talk, heart plummeted. When? July. Before the wedding. Confrontation waited till home. Dad saw you. With who? Kyle paled. A misunderstanding. Old friend. Ghost. Defeat. One coffee. Closure. For real. Lies layered. How many closures? Kyle? He broke. 3. Since the wedding. Not sex, just connection. He gets the dark without judgment. The admission gutted. And I get the light and the pain? I'm sorry. Sobs. I love you. But I'm broken. Betrayal's climax. Not fists, but truths flung like grenades. Leave, I said. Voice steel. Fix yourself. Or lose us. He packed that night. Duffel slung. Eyes pleading. Wait for me. Humanity's edge. I will. But earn it. Door clicked shut. Echo eternal. Autumn 2020 descended on Seattle like a shroud. Leaves carpeting paths in ochre melancholy. The pandemic clamping the city in masks and distance. Kyle's absence carved a hollow in the apartment. His sketchpad gone, but faint pencil smudges lingered on the table like fingerprints of what was. I threw myself into work. Elena's virtual happy hours a tether. Grief's a bitch. But you're tougher, she'd say, pixelated face fierce. Nights, I'd walk the waterfront alone, fairies ghosting the sound, wondering if love's elastic had finally snapped. Calls came sporadic. Kyle holed up in a Portland sublet, crashing with artist friends. Therapy intensive. Theo recommended a group, he'd say. Voice tinny over Zoom. Queer recovery, addiction to chaos. They call it. His dark days unearthed. Not just Ricky's pills, but a high school spiral of coke and hookups. Numbing the rejection. I betray because I believe I'm the villain. He confessed one pixelated night. Eyes shadowed. You deserve a hero. I loved the villain too, I replied. Throat tight. But heroes heal. Months blurred, his book tour virtual. Mine a promotion to senior editor. Elena popping champagne via DoorDash. Friends rallied. Javier scripting a one-man show on fractured loves. Dedicating it to the glue guys. Family checked in. Mom sending care packages of clam chowder mix. Dad's gruff chin up. Son. Winter solstice brought a package. Kyle's. Wrapped in butcher paper. A new sketchbook inside. Pages of us. Brooklyn rain to Seattle shores. Betrayals as thorns pruned back. Hearts blooming resilient. Note healing. Miss you. Permission to hope. I hung it on the fridge. Beside our wedding photo, smiles defiant. Spring 2021 thawed tentative. Vaccines rolling. Restrictions lifting. Kyle's emails lengthened. Sobriety milestones. Gallery shows in Portland. A sponsor named Alex, platonic, emphasized. He's straight, married, gets the addict brain without the spark. Jealousy nipped, but trust's seedling sprouted. I dated casually, a barista with kind eyes, a professor who quoted Whitman but none rooted. Kyle was the soil, deep and scarred. Mayday, he called, come see my show? One night, I flew south, nerves electric. The gallery was a converted warehouse, walls alive with bridges burned, panels epic, lovers clawing from abysses, text ballooning hope. Kyle stood amid admirers, leaner, eyes clear, jeans fitted, flannel soft, that crooked smile unchanged. Our hug lingered, electric. Proud, I murmured. Tour ended at a quiet taqueria. Tacos steaming, beers light. I've changed, he said, tracing bottle condensation. Not perfect, but accountable. I nodded, heart teetering. Show me, he did, mornings journaling, evenings AA meetings, art as anchor. A week blurred, hikes in the gorge, his hand brushing mine accidental, then intentional. No rush, just presence. Back in Seattle, he visited weekends, cooking disasters laughed off, movie marathons with popcorn fights. Betrayal scar itched, but scabbed. I kept your secrets, I said one rainy eve, curled on the couch, broke back flickering. Now keep mine, I'm scared, he kissed my forehead. Me too. But we're worth the fear. Summer rebuilt, joint therapy with Theo. Unpacking layers, my codependency, his avoidance. Vacations, road trip to Yellowstone, geysers erupting like emotions purged. Bison grazed indifferent. We picnicked, rings glinting, vows renewed unspoken. Fall brought Kyle's move back. Boxes unpacked slow, studio reborn. His next project, Elastic Vows, collaborative, my words, his lines, a testament. Publishers vied, we chose the indie, integrity over cash. But shadows test resilience. November, an email pinged, anonymous again, he's slipping. Portland bar, last week. With G. Photo attached. Kyle, arm around the ghost, laughs blurred. Heart seized. Confrontation waited his return. Explain, he wilted. No deflection. Old habit. Ran into him at a reading. One drink turned two. Talked, deep, like before. But I left. Alone. Alone, doubt-laced. Yes, eyes locked. Called you after. Remember? Voicemail at 2 a.m. I did mumbled love you. Safe home. Relief ward fury. Why him? Closure's a lie. It's exorcism. But you're the ritual. We fought clean. No yells. Just tears and truths. Theo mediated next session. Triggers are teachers. What does this reveal? Fear of loss, Kyle admitted. Mine too, I echoed. But love's the leap. December healed. Holiday lights strung joint. Tree trimmed with ornaments from our year's Brooklyn keychain. Seattle shell. His folks visited. Dad clapping my back. He's steadier. Thanks to you. New Year. Midnight kiss under mistletoe. Resolutions whispered, transparent. Together. 2022 dawned vibrant. Elastic Vows launched to acclaim. Tour duo, us reading tandem. Crowds moved. Back home. Life nested. Adopting a rescue mutt named Bridge. Walks at golden hour. Sex rediscovered, slow, sacred. Bodies maps remapped. Yet climax brewed subtle. Bring. Kyle's sponsor Alex warned. Relapse signs. Skipping meetings. Isolation. I noticed. Late night sketching. Phone silenced. What's eating? Deadline pressure, he'd say. But eyes evaded. May. It erupted. I found the bar receipt. Portland. Mid-tour. Ghost's number scribbled. Again. Devastation crested. He confessed. Broken. Texts. Flirty. No meat. But. Temptation. The wave crashed. Out. Now. He begged. One chance. I'm fighting. No. Steal. Heel solo. I can't be crutch. Eviction gentle. Boxes packed. Hugs goodbye. I love you, he choked. Prove it to yourself first. Summer solo. I thrived. Oddly, dates real. Elena's mentorship blooming to partnership. Bridge fetched sticks. Therapy solo now. Letting go is love too. Fall whispers. Kyle's emails steady. Rehab stint voluntary. Portland group solid. Elastic. Remember, snapping back. November. He surfaced. Gaunt. Clear-eyed. At my door. I'm ready. Clean. Ghost blocked. Life rebuilt. Skepticism guarded. Show. Don't tell. Trial. Coffee dates. Boundaries firm. Months tested, his vulnerability raw. My walls cracking. Christmas. Tentative invite accepted. Tree lit. Bridge tail wagging. 2023 winter. Reconciliation tentative. Cohabitation paused. Separate apartments blocks apart. Joint projects. Vows sequel. Fractured forged. Therapy tandem again. Theo beaming. Growths non-linear. Spring bloom. A hike. Wildflowers nodding. Kyle knelt, not ring, but sketch. Us. Older. Hands linked over chasm bridged. Second vows. Heart swelled. Third time's elastic. No wedding pomp, just notary. Beach sunset. Waves witnesses. Vows. I've kept your secrets. Survived betrayals. Now, I choose your light daily. His. You've held my dark. I vow transparency. Always. Summer sealed. Travels light. NYC redux. Brooklyn walks hand in hand. Ghosts exorcised. Book tour triumphant. Us unbreakable. But humanity tempers. Not perfect. Slips minor, arguments over dishes. Doubts in quiet. Yet bond endured. Stretched. Reformed. Fall 2023. Upstate visit. Dad hugging Kyle. Proud. Son. Back home. Fire crackling. Bridge snoring. We made it, Kyle murmured. I smiled. Fingers laced. And we'll keep making. Winter 2024 wrapped Seattle in a crystalline hush. Snow dusting the sound like powdered sugar on forgotten donuts. The city hunkering down with cocoa and Netflix marathons. Our life post-recommitment hummed with the quiet rhythm of survivors. Mornings tangled in flannel sheets. Kyle's breath warm on my neck as Bridge pawed for walkies. Afternoons split. Me Zoom editing manuscripts from the bay window. Him at the drafting table. Pencils whispering across paper like secrets finally voiced. Fractured forged hit bestseller lists for indie queer lit. Fan mail pouring in, letters from kids in flyover towns. Echoing Kyle's upstate ache. Thanking us for the map out of shadows. You're heroes. One read, scrawled in Sharpie on notebook paper. Kyle teared up reading it aloud over dinner, stir-fry gone cold, his voice cracking. We were just messy-us. I reached across the table, thumbing a tear. Messy heroes, then. My favorite kind. But heroism's weight pressed. Kyle's sobriety stretched 2 years clean, AA chips jingling in his pocket like talismans. But triggers lurked in mundane cracks. A whiff of weed on a street corner. A Grindr ad popping unbidden on his phone during a late-night scroll. Delete it, I'd say. Not accusatory but anchor. He did. Every time. Then we'd fuck the fear away. Slow grinds turning frantic. Bodies affirming what words sometimes fumbled. Therapy evolved. Theo retiring. Handing us to a younger duo, non-binary sage Riley, with tattoos mapping their own betrayals, and grizzled vet Marcus, whose marriage survived 3 affairs. Sessions dug deeper. Not just Kyle's spirals, but my enabling patterns. The way I'd kept secrets to protect peace, mirroring his evasions. Human bonds are humanistic precisely because they're flawed, Riley said one drizzly Tuesday, rain pattering the office skylight. No perfection, just persistent choice. Choice became mantra. We chose date nights. Ferry to Bremerton for dive bar karaoke. Kyle butchering Tiny Dancer off-key. Me harmonizing laughs. Chose vulnerability, weekly check-ins. No topic off limits. Where I felt unseen last week. Led to airings. Not Armageddons. Chose family. Joint trips east, Connecticut clam bakes with my folks. Dad finally grilling Kyle on baseball instead of that art stuff. Upstate harvests. His mom baking pie sans sermons. Dad admitting over whiskey. You too. You fixed him. Fixed me too. Watchin' da. Spring 2024 unfurled verdant. Cherry blossoms carpeting U-District paths like confetti from a redo wedding. Kyle's solo exhibit opened at a Soto loft, resilient threads. Fibers of yarn and ink weaving our story abstract. Betrayals as knots untangled. Love as loom. Opening night buzzed. Javier flew in. Performing a spoken word piece on elastic absolution. Elena shipped wine from her vineyard side hustle. Kyle's speech. Spotlit. Voice steady. This is for Charles, the keeper of my secrets, the survivor of my storms. Our bond is threadbare sometimes, but damn if it doesn't hold. Crowd applauded. I pulled him into the storage room mid-mingle, kissing him against crates. Wine-tart and urgent. Proud, I gasped. So fucking proud. After party spilled to our place. Dawn chasing guests. In the haze, Kyle's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He silenced it, but my radar pinged. Later, alone, I asked, Ghost? He sighed. No lie. Ex from Portland. Random text. Saw your show. Congrats. Deleted. Transparency's gift. No explosion. Just talk. Hurts less now, I admitted. But still stings. He nodded, pulling me close. Stings for me too. Reminder of the cost. Summer solstice brought adventure. Road trip south. Highway 1 curving cliffs to Big Sur. Tent pitched under stars. Campfire tales turned confessional. Kyle recounting a near relapse at the exhibit. Bar temptation post-speech. Walking out instead. Called you from the curb. Your voicemail saved me. Hadn't known. Wish you'd said then. Learning. Kiss soft. Always. Fall harvested bounty. Fractured forged optioned for graphic adaptation. Netflix sniffing. We consulted lawyers, dreamed modest, queer creators first. Holidays layered, Thanksgiving fusion feast, upstate kin via Zoom, Connecticut drive with bridge shotgun. But winter 2025 tested anew. January chill bit deep when Kyle's dad passed. Heart attack, sudden as betrayal's stab. Upstate funeral, snow blanketing the farm, eulogy stiff till Kyle spoke. Voice breaking, Dad wasn't perfect, fought my truths like enemies. But he showed up. That's love. His mom clung post-burial, whispering, he was proud. Honey. Of you. Of Charles. We stayed weeks, sorting attic relics, old sketchbooks of teen Kyles, dragons hiding doubts. One night, attic dust motes dancing in flashlight, Kyle found a letter, his dad's, unsent. Son, I was wrong. Love who you love. Be happy. Tears baptized it. Back in Seattle, grief wove in, Kyle quieter, sketches somber, portraits of absence. I held space, no fixing, just presence. Walks where words wandered free, therapy doubling down. February mended, Mom's visit, baking sessions turning kitchen to flower wars. March, Kyle's birthday, surprise gallery crawl, ending at our beach, bonfire vows renewed impromptu. To surviving, he toasted marshmallows. April bloomed resilient, new project, threads of tomorrow, optimistic arcs. But May's mail brought the blade. Envelope, no return, Ricky out on parole. Note clipped, tell your boy hi. Secrets die hard. Panic surged. Kyle blanched reading it. He's bluffing. Nothing left to spill. Marla confirmed, parole strict, no contact. But watch, vigilance returned. Locks checked, numbers blocked. Sleepless nights. Kyle in my arms. Our bonds survived worse. June heatwave mirrored tension. A call came blocked, but Kyle answered wary. Voice tinny. Kyle? Ricky. Just congrats on the books. No hard feelings. Hang up swift. Kyle shook, but stood. Over. Climax crested subtle. That night, storm raging sound. Kyle confessed a dream, Ricky's shadow tempting old highs. Woke sweating. But I chose you. I held him through thunder. Choice is climax. We win. Summer peaked redemptive. Beach wedding anniversary. Vows seaside. Friends toasting. Javier's play off-Broadway nod. Elena's vineyard tour invite. Fall 2025 whispered legacy. Kyle mentoring at a youth center. Queer kids sketching dreams. I guest lectured publishing. Tales of Elastic Love. November 16th dawned crisp. Current date marking 2 years post-second vows. Morning coffee. Bridge at feet. Kyle slid a sketch across. Us. Silver-haired. Porch swing. Skyline eternal, Brooklyn echo in Seattle lines. Future, he said. I smiled, tracing lines. Ours. Betrayal's faded scars. Secrets shared stories. Bond, unbroken. Humanistic. Flawed. Fierce. Forever. In the end, love wasn't survival alone. It was the grace to rebuild, thread by thread, choosing each dawn. We kept secrets, weathered storms, but truth, it bound us deeper than any lie ever could. And in America's vast, bruised heart, from Brooklyn grit to Pacific hush, we found home. Not perfect, but profoundly ours.